QuaranJazz. Listen while you're home. Hello and welcome to the 27th episode of QuaranJazz, your weekly update on how the jazz scene is surviving the year of 2020. I'm Geisa Fernandes, singer, songwriter and music researcher from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And this is QuaranJazz. And don't forget, if you'd like to share your stories here in QuaranJazz, drop me a line. There are several ways to contact me. They are all listed in the description of this episode. You will find a link to my webpage, geisafernandes.com, where you can also find about all the podcasts that I produce and also about my work as a singer and songwriter. And in case you are interested in getting regular content, there will be also a link to my mailing list. This week I would like to start by saying thank you very much to all of you listeners that have been giving me some feedback on QuaranJazz. Your opinion is very important to me. It is a very tiring activity keeping the podcast running after all these months. I might remind you that I'm still confined at home, just going out for essential activities, and just like you, I'm very tired of the situation. Well, you know what I'm talking about. Some weeks it is particularly hard to keep the good vibe. And your comments, they make all the difference to me. Really, all the difference. I'm very glad to know that QuaranJazz can help you in the hard mission of showing your work to other people, producers, venues. Anyway, if it's opening doors for you, if it's helping new people to discover your music, my mission is accomplished. And I feel very happy for that. Thank you very much for your company and for your support. Muito obrigada. Now let's jazz it up. But before we get to know this week's guest, I would like to remind you that QuaranJazz has now its own playlist on Spotify, with all the songs featured during the episodes, including Nevermore, the song that you always hear at the beginning and at the end of each episode of QuaranJazz. Nevermore is part of my EP, So Now. The song is my jazz interpretation of Edgar Allan Poe's poem, The Raven. You know, the raven that kept repeating, nevermore, nevermore. So, for checking this song and all amazing contributions of my guests, visit QuaranJazz, the playlist on Spotify. No talk, all jazz. Let's check one of the updates of the week. There we go.
This isn't the blues. I've never seen this before, and it isn't red hot. This is a strange color. My yellows are frayed and unrecognizable, not cream or champagne. This is a strange color, and I feel in the floor, but I don't even really know where I am anymore. I just need some time. I don't care what I'm leaving behind. I'm breathing in indigo, breathing in indigo, breathing in indigo. Breathing in indigo, breathing in indigo. My violets were prized, and I had my pick of them, smiling and wide. But this is a strange color, and I'm faced to the core, and I don't even really know who I am anymore. Just need some air, I don't care what I'm throwing.
And now you are probably daydreaming of some beautiful scenario in Spain or in any other paradise that comes to your mind. Breathing in Indigo is the name of the beautiful tune that we just heard. And today, we're gonna have the opportunity of learning more about the artist behind the track, singer, songwriter and composer Nancy Ruth, born in Canada, but actually a citizen of the world. Hi Nancy, so glad to have you here in QuaranJazz. Thank you very much for your participation, thanks. So let's start by telling our listeners about your work. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us something about the kind of sound that you do.
Hi Geza. Geza, what a beautiful name you have.
Oh, thank you, that's so sweet. And I love names like Nancy, names that everybody in every country can pronounce easily. And it sounds very nice. But thank you, very sweet. And by the way, your pronunciation was absolutely perfect.
Wow, it's so much fun to be on your show. All the way from Brazil. I know you're in Brazil and I'm here in Malaga, España, in Spain. So this is fun. As you said, my name is Nancy Ruth. I write music, I sing, play the piano. I'm originally from Canada, but I came to Spain nearly 20 years ago, mostly because I wanted to be alone and to just write music. Oh boy, when it comes to describing the music I do, I prefer the experts to do that job. As one jazz reviewer said, she combines jazz, flamenco, and Latin rhythms in a natural way, creating a fresh genre that fits into all three idioms. Thanks, Scott Yano. I like that description because it's true that those probably are three of my biggest influences. I have digested those musical traditions quite deeply. Latin American music, mostly because I've traveled a lot through Latin America, and I love the boleros and the baladas, and I've recorded baladas and boleros and worked with composers in Central America. Flamenco because, well, flamenco is another story because I have lived in the south of Spain for 20 years and really immersed myself in that musical tradition. I mean, studying it from my musical point of view, but also just living it, which is another story. The most fascinating thing about flamenco for me is that the more I get into studying it and understanding it, trying to understand it, and the history of it and all the palos, as they're called, or different song styles, the more I delve into that and study it and think I'm understanding it, the more I realize that it's still a mystery. And I mean, I hang out at a local peña, the local flamenco club, and hang out with the guys there and try to play along and listen to them and their own understanding and debates even about how it should all work. It's completely fascinating. So that's very inspiring to live in that constant state of wonder. Flamenco is a big fascination for me and certainly a huge influence both rhythmically and harmonically. And then when it comes to jazz, well, obviously that is a musical tradition that I have lived. Being from North America, being from Canada, was very much in my ear and something that I've, studied as a musician and made my living singing jazz standards for many, many years. So that is obviously a strong influence. But when I go back to my studio and I go to write, my process is not what some people would call a fusion, I don't think. I mean, I don't look at it that way. The word fusion to me is difficult because it somehow implies a process that might be contrived or forced, like let's put this kind of a rhythm to this kind of a harmony me, and let's call it this. My process is really much more, excuse the overused term, but it's really more organic than that. I tend to just get very quiet, and then I see what's there. I just try to tap into my creative force, and my musical DNA, which has all these influences, guides me. Then I follow the idea until I'm somewhat satisfied with it. Of course, there's a certain point where technique and skill comes into play, but it's that balance between knowledge, technique, and intuition, and it's a very exciting process. It's something that I live for, really. I had been touring for many years, touring in all kinds of different ensembles, from rock to jazz to pop to doing musical theater. And although I had a great career as a gigging musician, but I had a strong musical vision, and I had a lot of music in my head that needed to come out. So always having been fascinated by Spain and the music of Spain, the culture, the language, I decided to come here and just lock myself away, really. Came alone, decided to not have a telephone or internet, very little social contact, in fact. And for many months, I just locked myself away. I bought a guitar and found a piano to play in a local elementary school. And I just started to write. And that's how this whole thing started. So looking back over the past 20 years, I would say I'm very glad that I took the chance and came here. Although it's been very difficult to keep the business end going and keep tours booked because there is no music industry in the south of Spain, where I live especially. But it's been very creatively gratifying.
Yeah, Nancy, when you tell this story, I can't help thinking that you're a few steps ahead, practicing social distancing before it was a hit. But it is a very interesting story. And I think you've been extremely brave. It takes a lot of strength to take these steps in life, such, let's say, radical steps. They are usually very rewarding, but they are also very hard. But anyway, and what kind of projects have you been developing in Spain?
Back in 2011, I was living in Barcelona and had put a project together based on my album Para Ti, and we toured a lot. It was a really successful project, but I really missed living in the south and having more space, and I wanted to live on the sea. So I took a chance and went down to live in a small town on the south coast of Malaga, put a big project together, a 5-piece band, and recorded an album called Sangria Jam, which was rather experimental in the sense that I let my voice take a second plane, and I focused on writing for the band. So I'm fascinated by the rhythmic impulses of Spanish musicians. The way that they understand rhythm is quite different than the way that I learned to feel rhythm in North America. And so I really wanted to write with them in mind as a personal challenge, and also just out of pure joy. It's exciting. And, having 4 great players to interpret your music is really gratifying, to write stuff. Yeah, I think the bass would like this, and I think the drummer would like this. And then to bring it to them and for it to work. It's like really exciting. So I wrote the whole album Sangria Jam based on their talents, and had quite a bit of success live, I would say. I mean, we did some dates in Spain, and then I took my music to Australia, actually. I had to put a new lineup together in Australia because I couldn't afford to bring the Spanish lineup with me. Pretty logistically complicated. So I put a lineup together down in Australia and did a bunch of dates there. And I was really amazed because, well, first of all, when you're booking an original project that doesn't have a clear genre attached to it, it's risky. I mean, promoters, I have to give them a lot of credit because they took a chance on me. And I was very happy because we sold out most of the venues, and I was very excited to see the visceral, physical response from the audience, because a lot of this music has a lot of drama in it, and there's something in Spanish that we call un remate. It's like the end of a phrase that has like a particular physical impulse attached to it. And so to see the audience respond physically to the music like that, that gut thing, and it's like, yes, okay, it's working. That was very exciting. And then last year, I was quite honored to be representing Spain with my band at the biggest jazz festival in Africa, in St. Louis, Senegal. So that was quite a logistical challenge, but musically speaking, it was, again, it's just always great to be able to play your own music and play it for new audiences and see the response.
And how was lockdown in Malaga? How was your lockdown experience? And are the restrictions still very hard? What is the current situation?
Lockdown here in Spain was very stressful. We weren't allowed to go outside at all unless for groceries, and even then we were monitored by police. So very difficult for this rebellious person that I am to abide by all of that. But anyway, got through it. Spent a lot of time writing and, thinking about how to move forward too, because I have spent the past several years managing a 5-piece band and doing all the writing, a lot of the arranging, organizing the rehearsals, putting the tours together, the logistics and the promotion, and trying to keep everybody happy. It's tremendously challenging, and it takes over your entire life. So because of all the uncertainty now, I will probably shift gears just a little bit. There were a few venues popping up in Malaga in July, and then things started to shut down again. And I think because of all of the uncertainty, musicians are just scrambling everywhere. I mean, I'm personally having a pretty hard time accepting what's going on many levels, but I'm very fortunate because I also live right on the sea, and so I have this wonderful view that's very calming. Being connected to nature helps. I have a studio set up in my apartment, so I have everything I need to write and record and also teach, which I have been enjoying quite a bit.
And what about the future, Nancy? What are your future plans?
As far as the future, we'll see. I had planned to be in Canada this summer. I had jazz festival dates pending across Canada. I had my flight booked to Montreal. I was going to put a lineup together there. And of course, that all fell through, so we'll just wait and see. We'll see what happens for next year.
So, Nancy, at the beginning of the episode, we had the pleasure of listening to Breathing in Indigo. I would like you to tell us a little bit about this track and also to present us the track that you've selected for us to listen in full.
So this is crazy. Breathing in Indigo. I mean, I wrote this song a couple of years ago and recorded the video a year ago, all long before there was any idea that there would be some kind of a world pandemic going on. But ironically, it was released right at the beginning of this whole thing, and it was released in March. And it's ironic because the song is all about surrealism. It's all about finding yourself in a situation, a completely surreal situation that you do not know how to make sense of, and you don't know what to do, you don't know which way to turn. It's all about uncertainty. So it's really a reflection of what's going on in the world. And subsequently, well, it's getting some attention, which is great. It's getting some airplay and some great press. I wrote the song, and then I had my longtime collaborators working on this with me in the studio, Luis Robisco from Barcelona on guitar, Juan Heredia on percussion, and my longtime co-producer Juan Soto playing bass. And I love the song because it really does bring all of my influences together, flamenco, jazz, and rock music. So breathing in indigo, and we are breathing in indigo. We don't know what's going to happen next. I mean, here in Spain, over the summer, there have been some venues that have opened up and then they've closed again, and this just, it's just insane. But I really think that the more time we spend making music, the better, because this will just put a great musical vibe out into the world. And I really have to believe that live music, which is my bread and butter and my passion in life, I really have to believe that it's going to come back, and it's going to come back strong, and that will just prove the fact that there is no replacement for the live music experience. You can't replace that experience online, you can't replace it with videos, and all that stuff is great. It's all great, but the live music experience cannot be replaced. And so that is my message, and that is my wish. And yes, we're breathing in indigo, and we will continue to make music and bring it back stronger than ever.
And what about the second song we're going to hear?
This song is called Turn the Lights Back Down. It's a romantic ballad, but it's also a song about taking pause and reconnecting with nature and the love that connects us all. So perhaps it's a good message for these times we're living in. The recording came about in a rather unusual way. I was in New York last October recording a soundtrack piece that I had written with members of the New York Philharmonic string section, and the pianist on the session, whose name is John DiMartino, recorded this piano track. He had a really beautiful, restrained approach, and I just loved it. It was a little bit different than the way I had first envisioned it, or perhaps played it for myself, and it invited some new production ideas. So I took it back to Spain, got my bass player in Spain, Juan Soto, to put a bass line, electric bass line down on it, and drums. We added some background vocals, which was actually John's little production idea. Thanks, John. And my colleague Joe Giannono, who is a composer that I work with sometimes in New York, I sing on some of his projects. He wrote the string arrangement, which I sent to my colleague Mark Ferris in Vancouver, and he recorded the string parts. So this is a truly international production that was recorded during quarantine or lockdown. And all things considered, I'm very happy with the way that it came together. It's the 4th single that I have released this year, and so far quite happy with the response.
Wow, great. All right. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you very much for your participation here in QuaranJazz. Thanks a lot. Really appreciated it.
Thanks, Jeza. Thanks for doing this. And I'm wishing everybody calm, peace, and lots of great music and creativity.
And thank you, dear listener, for staying with us. I'm Geisa Fernandes, singer-songwriter, music researcher from Rio de Janeiro. And if you want to keep this conversation going, or if you want to tell your stories here in the show, maybe you're a jazz musician as well, and you'd like to say what you've been doing during this year, if you have any release you would like to share with us, drop me a line. There are several ways to contact me. They are all listed in the description of this episode. It can be through my website, where you'll find a contact form, or you can reach me also by joining the Facebook group, The Touring Jazz Musician. I personally manage this group, created to keep you, jazz musician, informed about jazz festivals worldwide that accept submissions directly from artists. So if this is your thing, join us, The Touring Jazz Musician, on Facebook. I would like also to remind you that QuaranJazz is a proud participant of the Social Distancing Festival. If you still don't know what this website is about, the link will be also listed in the description of this episode. Time to bid you farewell. Thank you very much again for staying with us. Till next week. And now, ladies and gents, turn the lights back down.
Let's take it slow. Turn the lights back down. I wanna savor each shadow and glow. Turn the lights back down. If you've been waiting as long as I've been longing to be found, let me feel my way around. Turn the lights back down. Turn the lights back down. Turn the lights back down. Give me some time to rest here in your arms, where all the wires of my soul will unwind, resting in your arms.
seize every sigh as I unravel all your charms. Let it go without a love. As I rest here in your arms, turn the lights back down. Turn the lights back down. The overtones of the love you've grown and wrapped around surround. When you turn the lights back down. Turn the lights back down.
QuaranJazz. Listen while you're home. QuaranJazz, a podcast by Geisa Fernandes.